So howdy everyone, welcome back to more for the 2023 Imperium Cup. For Dune Imperium with the Rise of Vix and Immortality expansions. I'm your host and commentator, The Black Shadow. Please ignore the bright white screen, there's a bit of a rendering issue at the moment. But I welcome you to more coverage from the competition, and this game in particular is the second game that I have played in the tournament in Group J. Here's a look at the standings going into this game. As I do with all these are being commentated by myself and looked at after the match. I don't do it during the game. I just want to focus entirely on what I'm doing, and I'll worry about kind of surmising things afterwards. But yeah, here's the standings regardless. You know, they're not terrible. It's kind of a weird group. Shadowblades feels very comfortable up at the top of the table. But outside of that, like, this group is pretty wide open. Realistically, so there's a lot of opportunities to try to look to score some points and move on up here. I played the one game. I was maybe a little bit unlucky not to win it. If you've not seen it, I would encourage it. But it was one of those games where, like, I felt like I played pretty damn well, and had even winning chances in round 7. I was a little bit unlucky not to get the win, but what you're going to do. So going into this game against Medioga, Mark, and Ayasaki, the Mystic Gamer. It was, you know, it's a pretty big match in a way. There's a lot of chance to, like, make up some real positions. I know that I'll find a win somewhere in this group and amongst my 4 games, so hopefully this will be the one for it. It was an experience. So, the draft gets itself done here. We find ourselves in the 3rd seat here. Medioga in first. Mystic Gamer to go force. And here's a look at the opening row here. I'll go ahead and pause so we can see this a little bit better. So there's a lot of not bad stuff here. Usurping the top rows. It's nice, but it's probably a bit extravagant for its cost. Face Dancer is a really good grafting card. Unfortunately, in 3rd position. Unless I draw both experimentations and neither red or green does, I'm probably never going to see it, even though it's an amazing, really good card. Imperium's not bad. It's got some fun stuff there. Ben's Sister is obviously pretty useful. Playing coupling for grafting is always good. Duncan Law is obviously pretty good for later on in the game, but Steel Suit Manufacturer stuck out to me as a pretty potentially strong card here. If you can get that alliance going with the Fremen and start really trying to use it as much as you can, it can be really super useful. The tech's also pretty good as well. All 2 costers, Minimic, Wind Traps, and Snoopers. So if Beast turns up on the leaders, then there's a lot of value to be had here. And here is a look at the leaders presented to me. Blue picked, and kind of said, oh, well, I guess I picked that leader, which gave me an impression that they were picked someone, you know, pretty decent, that they kind of had to, and they picked pretty quickly as well, like an Ilban, a Tezia, or Baron. My thoughts was it was Baron or maybe Tezia. Just the inkling I kind of got. So I was expecting a lot of faction power to my left side. So kind of not the easiest set of leaders to run with. There's some potential. If it is Ilban, then Lido ahead of him wouldn't be too bad. Obviously, that chasing would be pretty useful. But Lido, I don't have the best of records with, truthfully. Although he can definitely be pretty darn useful. Lasery Kaz was also a potential idea as well. There was a bit of grafting out there, playing coupling, Face Dancer. But the problem is that I'm never going to see playing coupling almost ever unless I reveal early, which I can't really justify doing. And if I was going to reveal early, it wouldn't be for playing coupling. Face Dancer as well is obviously a nice grafting card for a laser, but she wants really those one icon grafts. So, and again, I'm not always going to see that either. If I don't get either of them, I'm in real trouble. So, after a bit of thought and consideration, Yuna, I guess you could pick, but I don't think 3rd spot's great for her. And Romba is not one I'm really going to touch. So we go with my boy, Paul Atreides. We take him into combat, you know, and the idea being, looking at this, is I'm thinking, well, I'm going to probably need to play there's 2 reasons in particular. First off is Steel Suits Manufacturer, and that is something that I can realistically target. Assuming that 1st and 2nd are going for the usual stuff, then maybe I can look to really target the Fremen heavily, get Steel Suit Manufacturer online, and use that water to do lots of card drawing, try and buy some Spiceman's flows, you know, and just try and give myself good access sort of thing, and just really kind of build my game around that. The other thing as well going into this is I figured I might need to play quite a flexible sort of game. Minimic's obviously a nice one as well for me to potentially get hold of. I just need to give myself choices. I figured in this match. I think this could be a bit tricky, kind of where I'm at here. The rows, like, it's not... generally, 3rd seat I quite enjoy, because it gives you a bit of freedom how to approach it. but there was nothing sticking out to me. There wasn't like a stitched horror or a scientific breakthrough on the Talaxia. I can be like, go for it, you know, still suits research station and just barrel for immediately using Paul Atreides, you know, and stuff like that, and build my game around that. So I'm gonna have to kind of make it a little bit up as I go along, I suspect, in this one. If anything, you know, I figure in a weird sort of way, I might have the most difficult seat here. You know, red in theory just smuggles, is going to try and make use of that money or cash it in as soon as possible. Green's going to ship, and blue, assuming they've gone faction heavy, just going to bomb faction. So I'm kind of the one that's got to make it up as I go. So leader's chosen. Leto taken in the first spot, which is an interesting choice. It can be good for him in theory. I think the idea being with that is what you want to do is look to go, you know, try and like smuggle second is the idea, and then look to cut off green from shipping typically, and you're in second is just always fine. So we got ourselves underway here. Here's our opening hand, which is good and not good in a way. We pull both factions and Signet Ring, and both convincings on the opening round here. So lots of persuasion, lots of stuff to want to do, but a little bit tricky. And Leto kicks off first here and decides to just go. It's the spice mixed skirmish here as well, the smuggling. So not a great one to bomb. And Leto goes fold space. Now I'm not going to sit here and tell you that fold space is a bad move. The problem with that is that you're just giving Yuna immediate Swordmaster. Now, once Leto did that, I kind of got why he went and did that. He clearly didn't have any experimentations, was my assumption, but he's probably got his Signet Ring, and as such, he wants to just go and hit factions immediately and just try and work it out from there. But yeah, so Yuna gets immediate Swordmaster. I'm thinking, well, that's great. That's awesome for me. So we got a couple of choices how to approach this. There is decent combat rules to be had here at not a great price. But I feel like this could be a bit of a weird round. Obviously, I'd like to get on like Mimic and such, but we just don't have the hand for that right now. So I figure what we do is we do a little bit of Ilban here, and what I end up opting to do is I look to go Wealth Mentat. It's a move I like doing, Paul Atreides, every now and again. The money's always good. Keeping that away from Leto is going to be good. We are going to be fighting over Mentat a lot in this game. But with Signet Ring in hand, it gives me that double draw. And it means I could still pull both experimentation. If I'm Paul Atreides and if I can get Face Dancer, it's absolutely enormous. It's one of Paul's better cards in the entire game as far as I'm concerned. And I need to realistically, I want to use the ring, because our next hand as well is going to be really poor. You think our next hand is going to be double Dune, double Dagger Recon. What am I going to do with that? It's looking pretty nice. I figure, well, if I can Wealth Mentat, I can get both factions in, I can draw a couple of cards, I can maybe punt for Face Dancer, I can get hold of Steel Suits Manufacturer, and I've just got to play a pretty cardy sort of game, basically. Leto does indeed have his Signet Ring, so didn't want to use that at smuggling, much to Yuna's happiness. She's not complaining, so catches up with the Emperor. Yuna, and then also noticing as well in the combats here, so Tezia went Steel Suits, which I don't hate, just limped to Troopin. Leto went Haga Basin and just limped to Troopin. I was like, okay, it's a little bit strange. Yuna with her Sikh allies has to go secret. She has no Hardy Warriors access, which means that if I'm going to do Wealth Mentat, I can look to get hold of, I can really target a lot of stuff here and do some really good stuff here. So we go for the move. It also puts Tezia in a bit of a weird spot as well. I'm basically saying, well, if you've got your other faction access, you gotta go Hardy Warriors, which I know you don't really want to do. And if you go like Carthag or Arakeen or even like Imperial Basin or something, like, you have no idea really what to put in, because I could have anything. And it's hard to know what I want to get this. I'm happy just to set with some cash. The smuggling bump's not bad for me in third position. I can cash that in fairly soon. Like, you know, and it maybe threatens like Minimic Film as well. You know, I got a couple of options here. We draw our Dagger and our Experimentation, which is okay. Like, any cards we draw here is fine. And we just kind of play it as we go. So we're kind of just putting Tezia immediately in a bit... And my logic was, well, Tezia, I need to put her in as many difficult positions as I can in this game. I've got to make her life difficult. I've got to try and get action economy on her as much as possible and put her in positions where she doesn't necessarily know what to do. Ops her Imperial Basin, which is just totally fine. Well, how much do you want to commit here? Because you know that Hardy Warriors is sitting there, And if I want to win this fight, I definitely can. How much do you value this, basically? How much are you willing to put in? I expect her authority to put in at least one troop, because she has to put in at least one troop here. The question is, do you put in both? I would probably argue for blue's sake, I would say no, and blue does decline. I think 2 is fine. You're happy with 3 coins for 2 troops. You know, you don't expect to ever win this, however. Plan coupling taken for Lido. As expected, we were never going to see that. Yuna reveals for not very much and just takes Bounty Hunter. It's not a bad card for her. And so here's our hand here. So we know we can go for either Keys to Power or Steel Suit Manufacture, but it still suits all day. Such a good card to get hold of round 1. We can maybe even see it immediately. Use that water to our advantage and start just looking to hit the Fremen. And the thing is, if I'm going Steel Suits, I want to hit the Fremen very hard as well. We're going to need to absolutely bomb this alliance. So I do end up opting for the Diplo to Hardy Warriors. I'm not looking to put in a ton, though. I just look to basically just come here. And I decided to just put in 2 troops, which seems fine. I've got the dagger behind me. Tessia could have anything here. But be honest, I'm okay with both rewards. I don't really want to commit a 3rd troop for the bump and the spice. I mean, you could argue if I could not, but I want to keep hold of some troops. I'm trying to keep a flexible game. And sometimes Tessia just doesn't have a dagger, and I get this super cheap. But if I just get the 3 coins, it's fine, because I've got to fight Leto for Mentat, and I know I have to fight Leto for Mentat in this game. So here's Tessia, who does have a dagger, didn't play Seek Allies. So you see here, she didn't want to go Hardy Warriors. She's trying to obviously hold up Great Flat here. So didn't play the Seek Allies there, which means that we will tie, but that's fine. We get hold of Steel Suit Manufacturer, and that is this is the card we're going to look to base a lot of our game around. Get that going, use that water, picking up the card draw, and just hit it as hard as we can. Seems pretty solid to me. So round 2 comes on up. It is Desert Power, so victory points, but importantly, it's water. This is not a good conflict for Tessia, because A, she's committed troops, and B, she's trying to build up the Great Flat. And this is a bad conflict for her, because, of course, although no one has any water, that's about to change. So already Tessia's getting into a bit of a funky spot here. So Tessia, just Insta-Swordmaster. I mean, just unbelievable. And it comes to us here. So because we Hardy Warriored, we've got a decent garrison. And again, I've got all the reason in the world to bomb this. I kind of would like to get to Mentat if all possible. But I'm okay with it. I obviously am conscious about trying to get hold of my Swordmaster as soon as possible. It's kind of a weird game in a way for that, because Yuna's getting it so early. But there's no way for us to get hold of it in time. There's just no way. And you can't say, well, Shadow, you should have taken your smuggling bump. Well, it wouldn't have mattered, because I would have had no money at this point. So, remember, 3 of those coins weren't actually mine. So, unless... I guess, in theory, what I could have done is gone in harder, and then this turn just hit Wealth again, and then next round just smuggle to get Swordmaster. I guess that was an option. But that's the thing, you can kind of take things different ways. So, and I was happy to live off Mentat, make Red's life difficult, and just live off that for a little bit, because I feel like I can do that for a couple of rounds. In 3rd seat, you can kind of do that with some leaders, hit Mentat a lot, and use that action economy to put everyone else in difficult positions in the conflict. Especially in this conflict here, because this is a conflict that I would very much like to win. That water is huge, and the victory points also going to be pretty good for us. We open with Steel Suits, again, giving ourselves options. And the thing is, as well, at this point, like, the great thing of getting this water is I could have Steel Suit Manufacturer in my hand right now and be targeting Hardy Warriors. Very, very conceivably. So, uncomfortable spots already for the other 2. Tessia doesn't want a Hardy Warriors, A, because she needs the water, and B, both her faction axes in there. And of course, no one else has any water, and they both really want to get to Steel Suit. So, it's a good move for us, and it blocks both of them off really heavily here. So, just putting people in difficult spots. Tessia Minimix seems good to me. And then it's off to Duke Leto. Now, he has faction access, and he definitely has interstellar shipping. Because, bear in mind, this bump came from his ring. So you'd think Leto, a lot of the time, just goes full space and starts shipping. You'd think, you know, make sure Unit isn't able to start doing that. Well, he decides otherwise. Duke Leto decides to play this a little differently. He heads off to Imperial Basin, which is a curious move. Obviously, he wants to get hold of some spice in order to obviously power his ring in bits and pieces. At least that was the assumption, but that wasn't how it is. So Yuna's just like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna start shipping as well this game? Cheers. It's kind of an unusual game, I'm not gonna lie. So Yuna Swordmasters, he comes back to us. Our next card is whatever the next card was, we're about to find out. We do go Mentat again. Again, just putting people in different positions. Looking to find I was looking to try and actually draw out Steel Suits, but missed it, unfortunately. Because obviously getting that as soon as possible and hitting this. Remember, of course, the Steel Suits manufacturer makes you water neutral at Hardy Warriors. It's insane. And so that's the idea. I'm just thinking, well, I can just use the card draw with my ring and just try and hit factions as much as humanly possible. And try and get a leg up on that, because like this is not an ideal spot for me. Yuna's being given a hell of a lot here. Tessia Vernius is also Tessia Vernius, so it's kind of not an enviable spot that I find myself in here. But yeah, so Tessia's up. So Tessia has a problem here. Tessia has an issue in that she probably should just go Great Flat. Because the problem with Tessia is that, like, you've got the water, but, like, surely a lot of the time, like, I'm getting hold of some water as well. Now I've got one here. So I think Tessia is just meant to experiment at Great Flat a lot here. And I think that was what she was originally going to do. But then she doesn't. And Tessia Vernius decides, well, she pulls out her ring, which I'm like, okay, fine. You obviously want to get hold of your shipping. And she goes Carthag. I'm like, okay. You're looking to win this fight, question mark, when I've got action still? And she just limps in. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to complain. Lido then makes this even more curious and reveals his master plan. He goes Imperial Basin so that he can go Dreadnoughting round 2 and picking up wind traps. And Lido's theory here is that he's just going to bomb conflicts and use that to generate victory points and water. Use that to go mining, Power's Ring, that sort of thing here. I don't hate the move by Lido at all. But I can't say I'm a fan of the move when Fold Space is sitting right there. Yuna just welfs it. She doesn't even bother going Fold Space, which is also kind of curious. And then we go back to us. So, what do we want to do? Tessia does have an intrigue, yes. But she pulled the intrigue and then only put in one troop. Which means this is very likely not a combat intrigue. You figure if it was a combat intrigue like Master Tactician or Ambush, well, maybe not Second Wave, but anything sort of like that, or even Vicious Talents, you're going to put both troops in here, right? You're going to put in 4, you've got your other daggers in there, admittedly, so you've got other strength, so you're going to do that, put in 6, and try and at least charge me, you know, or threaten that I could do stuff. Limping in 1 there, like, unless you got Second Wave and you're trying to be really clever, I guess that's a potential. But it's pretty unlikely. So, the other option we've got here, so the thing is, so assuming that's not combat, Tessia has a strength of 2, right? And we've got 4 plus a 2, that is 6. I actually reckon 6 strength is probably enough here. There are a couple of worlds it's not. Yuna could well have gone wealth because she's got reinforcements, and she puts in reinforcements and ties the combat. Oh, that would be bad. That would be very, very unfortunate for us. She might also even have, like, urgent mission and recall and go to Arakeen or something and put in 3 troops. This would be bad for us. But again, the odds of this, I think, are pretty unlikely. So I think about it for a little while. I give it some thought, but I'm like, I think I can actually afford to not put any more troops here, and I think I can take Desert Power down with 2 troops. I don't think I need to commit anymore. So then if that's the case, well, what do I want to do? Well, I'm getting water here in this conflict, right? So I'm going to have water for Great Flat. Problem is that use up on my water, and I've got Steel Suits Manufacturer coming, and I need to bomb this alliance as hard as I physically can. So we've already got siege access. I'm like, okay, let's make this look like it's uprising. What was the next card? Steel Suits Manufacturer was my next card as well, so I don't want to draw anything. We definitely don't want to see that. We've got to be using it right now. No Fremen Bond. So we go to Siege. With the idea being of garrisoning up and getting water for steel suits so I can mine and still threaten hardy warriors. And, like, a lot of the time, we just win this victory point with 2 troops. And if we win this victory point with 2 troops, I think that's a fantastic result. How can you possibly complain? I think that is awesome for us. And to be honest, like, Tesia, Tesia's getting a decent deal. Like, a troop for water and a spice, in theory. Looks pretty good to me. Picks up a liaison. The row's kind of a bit weird for people here. It's a little awkward for some folks, but yeah, with 4 persuasion, opts to go for, was it just the liaison? Oh, took shifting allegiances. Right, she's got 5, so take shifting. Obviously, that on Tesia is very scary. And then goes liaison afterwards. I don't know about the liaison, personally. Not a fan of it, but it's fine. So, Leto reveals for free. And this happens. So, Leto goes for free. He's gonna pull Jessica Varakis. You don't see this often, but he has got plan coupling. So, he's trying to graft that to draw 3 cards. And then this happened. It gets to here. And Leto's like, do I rip the road to stop one of the other 2 buying it? And he's like, it's probably fine. It's Green's problem. So Green reveals for 4. Now, what do you do here before Persuasion? Talaxian Master being there is kind of scary. I could have almost anything, realistically, because I've cycled my deck. I could have a lot of different things. Like, I've got some combat strength for sure, but I could well have a way of getting to 5 with some kind of funky draw or something. You don't know. So, what do you do is Yuna. Benny's sister looks alright. You know, it's not a bad card, but you probably rip the row, right? Well, she rips the row. And she pulls both in the shadows. A couple people, folks, ask me with Uprising, which I've been playing recently, and we've started doing content on the channel for it. And they're like, Shadow, why do you not want atomics in Dune Imperium Uprising? This is why I don't want atomics in Dune Imperium Uprising. So Yuna insta-takes both in the shadows. So that is Benny Alliance probably dead. Probably another Alliance dead as well. Absolutely brutal. We reveal for free in a couple of daggers. So we know we're going to take the conflict. Tesia can't beat us, so that's good. Couple of choices here for Paul. We've got the Crysknife turns up. Crysknife has some interesting use. Obviously, it's a Fremen card, which is good. We do want to start bonding up with our whatchamacallit, Steelsys Manufacturer, because later on we can start pulling it back up and then doing things. The problem is that Crysknife actually isn't a great pair for Manufacturer in a weird way, because its bonus is that it gives you a Fremen bump. Well, if you're revealing Steelsys Manufacturer, it's because you're already pulling it back off the board because you've already got the Alliance. And looking at this situation, I don't think the Fremen Alliance is going to come under a lot of difficulties for us here. So I actually opt for Voice. Voice is a cool card. I am a big fan of the Voice. It is a very good card. 2 Persuasion's good for Spice Must Flowing and just picking up other decent cards. But the fact that you can block spaces is going to be useful. I do have an issue with Swordmaster, so this is a way for me to put pressure on red with Mentat. It's a way for me to maybe find my way to blocking people from Swordmaster or spaces I don't want them to get to. There's a few ways for us to use Voice, and, you know, again, it's just trying to be flexible, giving myself options in this game. Combat resolves, as you'd expect, so we get Desert Power for 2 troops, which is kind of crazy, really, but we plan for it, and we move on. So, next up is round 3, and it is Gilbank Raid. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a really good combat for us. We need money. But stop and think about it for a second. Yeah, I need money. But so does everyone else. And Red's got Dreadnoughts and Wind Traps. And they're going all in for this. And Yuna's got a Signet Ring. And she's going all in for this. Yeah, there's a bit of a problem here. Oh, boy. So, we pull our hand. We knew we were getting these cards early, and it's pretty simple. We just want to experiment to Great Flat and then just continue to hit the Fremen. Seems good, right? Well, it is until we pull our next two cards and I find both Diplo and Voice. I'm like, you couldn't have pulled me like a Dagger or a Recon or, you know, anything that wasn't these two cards. Hell, even my Signet Ring I'd have been okay to see. No, we pull the two cards I really needed for next round because now I can't go Great Flat with Conspire options next round. I can't use Voice to block people off. Yeah, and I'm never getting much money from this conflict because those two are going all in. It's not a good draw. It is really bad. And it also means my next hand is going to be real rough as well. If I don't find my Signet Ring next round, I might be kind of dead in the water. So, not a good draw for us, really. It looks a lot better than it actually is. Because we knew what we were going to do. Great Flat and Fremen, almost certainly. And now I'm like, well, what do I got to do? Well, I have to go Great Flat. We have to do it. We've set ourselves up for Great Flat. Tezia let it build up. She should have taken it last round, but didn't. That's fine. So we have to go Great Flat and work it out from there. There's no alternative. The only question is, do we use Experimentation or do we use Voice? And I'm like, well, let's think about this situation. If I was to use Experimentation, the Great Flat, are two of these three people going to the Fremen? It's possible. There are worlds where Lido, for example, would hit Hardy Warriors, and Yuna would want to go Steel Suits, and that would be pretty bad. But even if that does happen, I still have Conspire with my Diplo. And I want to reveal Voice. I want to get that buy power. I'm looking at the row here. I'm thinking, well, Satellite Band's actually not a bad card for us. We got 7 Persuasion. And Satellite Band is really good. It enables some Fremen Bond later on. It also means that we can have just tons of water, basically near limitless water in this game, and I never have to worry about it ever again. And this gives me potential Highliner access later on, because we can start building up Spice here with Great Flat and maybe other sources. And having a second one to get the Highliner is always good. It takes the pressure off of diplomacy. So I figure, all right then, let's go ahead and do this. So after a bit of a think, and we and ah about it, we tank for a little while, like a good minute or so. We Great Flat. I also need to start getting experimentations done here and doing research because we're not rocking on. Tezia liaisons to Arakeen, which is a very strange move. It's a very weird move. It means one of two things. It means either her hand is incredibly awkward, like liaisons and convincings and like a dagger or something, or I don't know what else it really means. She's absolutely desperate to find a specific card. I don't know, but whenever you see a liaison to Arakeen, it's usually pretty strange and pretty suspect. So she limps in one troop, doesn't put in both, which I think is reasonable given what's probably about to come. Lido finds Plan Coupling, Jessica of Arrakis, pair number 1. Yes, I will be counting these. So goes to Basin, obviously to power his ring. So yeah, puts in a couple of troops, draws 3 cards. Little fortunate to find both of them together, but you know, it's going to happen every now and again. So now I'm basically thinking, well, what's Yuna going to do? I'm like, Yuna, please don't go Steel Suits. Please don't have faction access. Go Fold Space, go Wealth, do something else, you know. Just don't go Steel Suits. I want to hit Steel Suits. The idea being that I want to just have mass water, because I know my next hand is going to be pretty difficult. I'm thinking, if I can get to Steel Suits, free water, I can look to go Research Station next round. I'm going to need to research to make up for the deficit in this, because I've got to get that Talactic point. Very important. So I'm hoping to get to Steel Suits with Manufacturer. Get to one. It also means it puts other people in tricky spots. If they want to go from and afterwards, like Tezia or Lido, they have to go Hardy Warriors. And it's not a conflict they particularly want to go Hardy Warriors in. I mean, Lido might. So Yuna face dances to Wealth. I'm like, okay, she's definitely got her ring and is about to absolutely truck this all in. So I don't need to get involved in this conflict at all. Not remotely. So I'm like, okay, fine. I know a bad position when I see it. So I've just got to think, okay, what do I want to do with the conflicts? Am I willing to try and go for this to Solari? I've got to put in both troops, so I'm going to do it. And kind of like hope Tezia goes like Tech Negotiations. She might go Mentat, though. That would be annoying. You know, but like she might have a signet ring and might go Carthag and just barrel stuff in. Like I don't exactly know what she's gonna do, but I feel like the 2 Solari's good. I've got to find a way to Swordmaster. And if Lido does win it and he goes for Swordmaster, I've got to be ready with Mentat options that's not going to completely kill me. So I figure I've got to go in here basically. So after a little bit of a while, we go Steel Suits, which also blocks Yuna off because it's a place that she obviously would want to go. I've got to keep her away from that. Pick up our 2 water, put in both troops, and to tell Yuna, okay, what do you want to do? Well, we find out very quickly what she wants to do. Because she decides, alright then, fair enough then. She just reveals, because she has Kwisatz. That was a dagger, by the way. So I think she was considering going Mentat, but she's like, what's really the point here? So she just goes to Kwisatz Haderach. I can't hate the move, it's fine. She knows she's sacrificing money here. So she's like, was there really any point me spending money to try to recoup it? Probably not. So I don't hate the move. I mean, you could have done looking for your ring, or looking for that, but also is a bit worried about the fact that Leto obviously has drawn 3 cards, and Leto might decide to early reveal for Kwisatz, which is what he said that he was going to go ahead and do. So Tessia felt she's got to sack the action off to secure it, and I don't hate that at all. So Leto now has his Diplo, and this is where my strategy works here. He has to go Hardy Warriors if he wants the Fremen access. Which is good for us. It's sacrificing them all of water, and we're just building up a resource monopoly, and that's how we're going to play the mid-game. We're going to get a load of water, we're going to get a load of spice. We aren't great on actions, admittedly, but we're going to use our superior resources as a leverage over the table. Get access to places people can't. Threaten Highliner, threaten all sorts of bits and pieces. Research station we can obviously go for very aggressively, stuff like that. And that's what we want to do. Yuna, of course, has a ring, so she Carthags it, put in all 4, pretty standard. Takes the space bump because it's all, by the way, we're coming to the end of round 3, and no one's interstellar shipped yet, which can't be a bad thing for me because I was never in a position to really consider going for it. We reveal for 5. I do consider taking the row out and gambling, but do I really need to? Satellite Ban is a totally good enough card for me. I'm gonna need some Highliner access. I'm basically playing for round 7 Highliner at this point, and making sure I can get there first is probably the way this is gonna go down. I'm gonna hit Highliner somewhere. So Satellite Ban's gonna be good. It gives me extra water. Also, Satellite Ban is one of those cards you can also use at the Hardy Warriors as well to make yourself water neutral for a discard, which is not that bad. It's going to be a bit hard for me to buy Spice Must Flows regularly with Pool Atreides with this deck, but I'm not really going for it, truthfully. I'll need to find one before the game is out, hence Research Station and maybe some High Council as well later on. But I know that I've got to basically kind of just give myself some options, get some faction points and work it out from there. So Leto has 6 Persuasion. It's not a good row for 6, so of course he punts it and finds Liet Kynes. So at this stage, we have Liet Kynes, Kwisatz Haderach, double in the shadows. Someone once asked me a couple of weeks or so ago, why do you not want atomics in Dune Imperium Uprising? Oh wait, I've already answered this question. So, Liet Kynes is taken for Leto with his, card draw potential. He's just going to start buying some liaisons and just buy a ton of spice. Yuna with Bounty Hunter infiltrates Arrakeen for more money. So she's obviously going to look to take it down. Doesn't put in any extra troop because she doesn't need to. She knows he's got it. And so Yuna's going to pick up the 6 cash. Leto the 4. And I'm just hoping at this point that Tessia doesn't actually have a combat intrigue to, suck me out of a couple of coins. But I hope she doesn't. I figure sometimes she might not even do it anyways. She doesn't. So combat is resolved. We get a couple of coins for our troops, which is okay. And we move on. So it's round 4. And it is terrible purpose. So Victory Point and the trash. It's not a bad conflict for this sort of part of the game. And people have obviously, the trash will be useful. As noted, I knew we were going to draw a pretty bad hand. This is why I went and took the water here to give myself research station options. Assuming Tessia doesn't go there straight away. Because I figured she's got to get hold of her Swordmaster somehow. Well, she does. Slick Farmers she bought earlier with her Sikh allies. You remember she didn't play that in the first round. Gets her to shipping and Swordmaster. Pretty good. You can't feel too bad about that. Lido goes Wealth, obviously, to get hold of his Swordmaster. And then Yuna has an interesting choice here of what to do. She's got the action economy. She's got, she's got the cash for ring and stuff like that as well. But she's got other uses for it as well, potentially. She thinks about it for a little bit. I'm just looking at my discard, trying to get an idea of what... the thing is, so I've got 3 more cards to draw here. So I'm not drawing into any of these 5 cards here, which is kind of a bad thing, because I would love to see all of them, truthfully. But it is what it is here. So, Yuna thinks about it for a while. Yuna ends up going to her Diplo to Secret. And obviously, this is getting the In the Shadows up and running so that she can start using them to discard other cards, discard each other, and just have masses of influence bumps and just start jamming Alliance with her ring as well. This is an absolutely crazy spot for green here. Given Swordmaster round 2, given... double In the Shadows off an Atomic's Peel. I'm just like, yeah, this is not looking good. I don't know if I can win this game anymore, but we're gonna damn well try. So, Haga Basin had been left after all of this time because, Tesia had to go get a Swordmaster, and these two didn't have the... Remember, we made Lido have to spend his Hardy Warriors, so he couldn't go Haga Basin. So we're able to accumulate Haga base resources, and this is great for us. So 9 spice for us now. We pick up rapid mobilization as well. Really good. We're going to want that later on if this starts going on here. Lido, obviously, well, so Swordmaster, Lido Mentats, pretty standard. I was tempted to go Mentatting first, but I've really got to keep the money together. The idea being is that I need to be looking to hit Conspire. We need to Conspire to get hold of Swordmaster as soon as possible. So I was considering going Mentatting, but it's like, it's fine. And we'll just kind of play things as they go. Yuna smuggles, obviously with intentions to cut that off and get Interstellar shipping. Later on down the line, she's probably got her ring, so she's going to basically look to bump that and just get hold of several rounds of shipping as well, because, Yuna needs all of that stuff. And we've got a bit of a spot here as to what do we want to do. We've got absolutely buckets of spice, but we can't really use it anywhere. The techs aren't great for us, truthfully. We could use some. Maybe these worlds, maybe I consider even Dreadnoughting or something, but I need to keep the money. I need the spice for a Conspire hit, and I need the spice for a Highliner hit, is the theory. I've got both daggers, though. I really do want to get involved in the conflict, but I just can't. I can't really justify it easily unless we get fortunate. So we go Cartha with our ring to pull our convincing, and we find advanced weaponry. And we find a Dreadnought for 3 Solari. I'm like, oh, man. It's annoying because, I feel like I have to use it as well. Because you look at the situation here. Let's look at this as it goes. So, Yuna is... I don't know exactly what Yuna's doing. She might be looking to get involved in this conflict, but it's getting a bit tricky for her. As if she has a ring. If Lido's going to a city... he can only put in 7 forces, and he put down his dagger for Mentat here. So, unless he's got his other dagger in hand, which is not hugely likely, if we put in Dreadnought and Troop for 5 and 2 swords for 7, we can actually deny Red the terrible purpose point and slow him down. At a cost that I'm willing to pay. It's 1 troop extra to deny Red a point. I think I'm okay with that. I think it's okay. In the fact that as well, second place is pretty good for me. Again, water and spice. If I want to hit Conspire and Highliner, I need 10 spice. That gets us there. And the water is good. It gives me research station, possibly next round. And it just keeps me flexible. Gives me options. So I and ah about it for a bit. Obviously, the problem is it's making it hard for me to get the Swordmaster. But the truth is, at this point, there's only one person left to get Swordmaster, and that's Red. And Red's going to get it before me anyway. So... I don't really need the money at this point, in a way. I'm basically thinking, well, if I just go advanced weaponry, and I just try to live off Mentat for a round or 2, hit Conspire, pick up some other money somewhere, and we're going to rock and roll here. So we go in with the intentions of trying to deny Red a point sometimes. Also, denying is good, keeps him away from water, and it just really hurts Lido. He's committed a lot of attention to going down this Dreadnought route with the Wind Trap, so if we can stop that, that's really important for us. He does have to go Arakeen. He's got his ring, obviously, to chase factions, which is fine. So they go in. I hope he doesn't have a dagger. It would be great if he didn't. Chases with spacing, which is good. Pretty standard. It makes it a bit weird for what he's going to do next round, though. Well, you'll see about that. So the ridiculousness begins. Yuna plays In the Shadows to High Council and discards her other In the Shadows. I mean, it's... What do you do about this? You know, when someone just atomics with 4 persuasion and picks up both In the Shadows, like, what are you meant to do about that? Really? It's annoying. It really is. It's kind of frustrating to see that. You know, I'm really grafting away here as well, and it's just like atomics, both In the Shadows. Thank you very much. So frustrating. So we have our 2 swords. We pick up Fdakin for 2 reasons. A, I want the Fremen bond. This enables it. The 3 swords could be useful later. And B, it gives me some trashing, which is also going to be good. I also am trying to give myself maximum odds to hit Research Station next round, because I'm probably going to need it. Leader reveals for 7, taking a liaison, obviously for Liet-Kynes, and replacement eyes, you know, for Liet-Kynes. Basically just going all in on Fremen. Tribalizing. Yuna reveals for 4. Kind of a bit of a weird spot here. Like, you don't... She's kind of thinking, obviously, I want things that can discard to get more bumps out of In the Shadows. The problem is she's got no faction access, progress with the Fremen. So, Space Trader doesn't really... I probably wouldn't go for it as her, because you're just never getting that discard potential. So she just goes to Benny's sister at the end of the day. It's good. Also worth noting, Leto had no swords, so we do force a tie in the combat. So it's a decent result for us. You know, we spend the troop to negate 2 of his and stop him scoring a point. I think that's pretty good going for me. We know we couldn't win it, but we managed to force a tie, which is good. Means I keep my Dreadnought for next round as well. Pretty useful. So round 5 is up, and it is Sort Through the Chaos. It is the Mentat Conflict. Now, this is a really curious little spot here. This has come up in previous games about what is the value of Sort Through the Chaos. We've seen a couple of games before where people have gone really heavy in Sort Through the Chaos, like round 5, round 6, and kind of tanked their games because of it. And the reason for that is it's like, well, what are you doing with the extra action? Like, you can get 4 actions, great. Do you have the ability to, you know, use 4 actions? So this is where we are in a very unique position. Because we are the only people without Swordmaster, right? And it means we obviously really want to get to Swordmaster. It also means that, in theory, because we got Swordmaster, we just want to take Mentat in a way because it's cheaper and it gives us the extra card draw. It kind of does the same thing. But obviously, if I'm hitting Mentat, I can't pay for Swordmaster. Well, this looks like the perfect conflict for me. I can take the Mentat immediately, take it away from whoever, and then we can use that time to hit Conspire, hit Wealth, cash in, get some smuggling maybe, something, whatever. And, you know, in fact, even just like this, we got 1 coin, so 2 coins gets us to 3, Conspire gets us to 8, that's our Swordmaster right there. And we get the Mentat on the side while we're doing it. Great result for us. At least it was until I drew my damn hand. And for goodness sakes, we pulled Diplo and Voice together again with Steel Seats Manufacturer. So, just like, that's, what, twice that's happened now? I've pulled all 3 of those together. Voice isn't such a big deal, but continuously pulling Diplo and Steel Suits together is a little bit annoying. It's one of the reasons I got hold of Satellite Band as well, is to try to negate when this stuff happens, to try and make it a bit better, but it's still not a great spot for us. Again, we don't pull any council access, by the way, so that's 2 hands in a row. We don't find any of that. It's on Leto first, though, so we know this is a conflict that we can probably win. It's round 5 as well, which is a good one to use your Dreadnought on, because you can block up a space for, a round. Satellite Band is next. You can block up a space for a round and get it back ready for round 7, which is obviously we're targeting. So Leto finds Plan Coupling and Jessica Arrakis combo number 2. Goes Smuggling. So, yeah, this was a curious move here by Leto. So he smuggles to get the coin so that he can obviously get hold of his Swordmaster, which just gives Yuna Interstellar shipping. I'm just saying, you're probably better off just going inside the shipping, going up and down, and just taking the cash, Lido. Yeah. Was he doing it because he was scared of giving me the second coin to get hold of Mentat? Maybe. If so, there were bigger priorities, is all I'm going to say. So Yuna's like, thank you. That's so you've given me Swordmaster, and you've now given me inside the shipping. With my double in the shadows, I will take that, thank you very much. She double bumps up because obviously shipping is coming. It also means she possibly has Infiltrate as well, as an intrigue. She's got a Beetle bump because, you know, just making sure she's got all the assistance that you could possibly want. And it gets to us. So, awkward spot. I kind of want to hit Research Station, potentially. But I've drawn so good, I'm like, well, what the heck am I going to do here? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. So, I have to go Conspire with the intention of going to Fremen and looking to target this combo. I think it's one we have to win. We've got space for the intrigue. We pull Tiebreaker off of Conspire, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Those two swords aren't great, but that 10 spice could actually be pretty good here in this, like, dogfight I find myself in. So, yeah, we go Conspiring. So now we're ready to take the conflict in some form and get the money. So that's all well and good. Tezia has free water. So she opts to go Imperial Basin first, but tells me, okay, you've got Research Station plans, which makes sense. You've got, you know, you've got Minimic. I can get behind that. Also wants to get experimenting to get hold of an intrigue, which, you know, can't be bad. Lido's Swordmasters with placement eyes. And after a little bit of a tank, Yuna just goes Tech Negotiation. This is kind of an odd move. I don't 100% really know what that move is for at this exact moment. It's a little bit unclear. Unless she's got, like, charisma and stuff, and she's just going to reveal for Spice Must Flow. That's very possible, and that might be coming. I'm like, okay. So we do go Hardy Warriors. It's pretty insane to go Hardy Warriors and gain water, but that is the power of Steel Suit's manufacturer. Again, no Fremen cards in hand, so I can't get the 2 Fremen Spice. It was unlikely for us to fire a Fremen card, but I'm like, you know, it would have been nice to get it. But Hardy Warriors it is. We get it in, because it's too important for us to get this Mentat with Swordmaster coming. Gets us in position next round, gives us the action economy again, and we just got to try and leverage that where possible. And the thing is, well, you think, well, what's those 4 agent actions coming? Well, we're going Research Station, and we're going to draw a load of cards. And hopefully I've got my signaling to draw even more cards, and we're going to suss it from there. One of those actions is going to Swordmaster as well. So I've got that, and I've got that. I've got 2 other things to do. We might go Tex, we might go Dreadnought, I might go, like, Faction. I've got Satellite Band coming. I'm threatening Highliner. You know, there's a load of stuff that we can look to do here in the next round. Tezia pulls her Diplo. And after a bit of thinking about it, she ends up, curiously, going Fold Space. Now, bear in mind that this is Tezia, and she's, you know, it's round 5, and she has 2 faction bumps. 3 now. That tells me she's got shifting allegiances, and that she's looking to go for this alliance, right? Makes rough sense. Lido with his Diplo. And he just goes Wealth to secure the alliance. I think that's not unreasonable. You know, just garrisoning up for the next conflict, and, you know, when trying to going for a victory point next up if one turns up, which is reasonable. I mean, we've had no flag combats turn up whatsoever, so the odds of it being a victory combat are pretty decent. Or machinations. There's a lot of good conflict to come, so I don't hate the move. Yuna reveals the plan of infiltrating to smuggling, so, you know, more good stuff for her, as you'd expect. She takes the bump up here specifically so she can get the Talaxu Spice as well. Makes rough sense. And we have to reveal for, 5. And And I don't know about what to do here. I do have Atomics, and again, I could hit the roads. A couple of good cards for Spice Trader is not bad, but I don't really need the Spice, I don't think. I just go for Benny's Sister, the idea being that I'm going to need faction access eventually. I've still got points to take. And Benny's Sister is just always a good card. 2 swords or 2 persuasion. Having that flexibility is always really nice. Just a solid card, Benny's Sister. You can never go wrong with her. Tezia does show the shifting allegiances here. And then the curiosity continues. And this is a pretty interesting spot here, I guess. Tezia pulls Guild Authorization to get in front of Tezia on the Spacing Alliance. Good. Really good. And she is shifting. Hold on a sec. She's got no faction bumps elsewhere. She can't lock it up. No, she definitely can't. So she bumps down with the spacing because she has to. She's got no choice. She goes to Great Flat to pick up the spice, which is, you know, totally reasonable. Eyeing up highlining possibly later on, stuff like that. She's got fold space, she's got dip, that sort of thing. So Tezia bumps down with the Spacing Guild. So here is a trivia question for you. What should Tezia do with her 2 faction bumps? You got 4 choices. So even if you guess, you're right 1 out of 4 times. So Tezia could bump up twice with the Emperor to garrison up for round 6. Doesn't feel too good, though, due to the fact that everyone else is kind of largely garrisoned, and it's going to be really hard for you to win that fight. So that's probably not a good idea. Tezia could just take her 2 bumps back with the Spacing Alliance. You know, keep that away from Yuna. She probably never gets the Alliance. Not impossible, but highly unlikely that she ever gets it. The issue with that is that obviously Tezia is putting all her effort into an alliance. She's probably got to try and max out as well. She's just getting hold of free Solari, which isn't bad for her though. She will use that probably for High Council and Kwisatz to start buying Explosive Flows. She could go Bene Gesserit to get hold of an Intrigue, or she could go Fremen to get hold of some water, and maybe some weird way kind of pseudo put pressure on me, I guess. Well, what does she do? She ums, and she ahs, and she thinks, and she thumbs. I don't know if that's how that goes. And she ultimately ends up going with the Fremen. It gives her the water. And that's good. But surely, Yuna's just taking 2 alliances now, right? Seems wild. Seems wild to me. I know the normal path of Snooper tokens is you go here, 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 and here. And to be honest, I think you either go spacing or Fremen. But how you don't go spacing to, like, try and cut Yuna off in any way, shape, or form, I mean, it isn't ideal for you, I guess, but it just... Yeah, I wasn't totally... I basically said to Green, well, I mean, enjoy the 2 alliances, I guess. What you gonna do? Leto reveals for 7 persuasion, pulled Liet Kynes, but did not find any liaisons to go with it, so he has to live with 7. It's not a great row for 7 either, so he goes for Spice Trader, which is reasonable for Fremen, and he finds the other planned coupling for Jessica of Arrakis. I'm like, okay, Boomer, sure, you can have all that stuff. Full-scale Assault turns up. It's probably not getting bought this game, realistically. Yuna reveals for 5. She cannot atomics for 2 more shadows this time around, so she just eventually opts to obviously get hold of the specimen. That's obviously the point. And she just doesn't buy anything, which is, you know, not unreasonable. And then the Tezia reveals for the 1. So we get the conflict convincingly. Did I overcommit a troop? Maybe. Does it matter that I overcommitted a troop? No, not really. So we had to make sure we win this fight. It keeps away from Leto. We don't have Swordmaster. This is a really valuable spot for us to get this. So we pull our intrigue as well. We get Plans Within Plans. One of the best intrigues probably in the game. Except it's kind of difficult for us to get all the Plans Within Plans at this point, because we're not really set up for it. And then my eyes turn northwards, and I'm like, oh, Spice Allies has just turned up in the tech row. Huh. And we move on. So round 6 is indeed a victory point conflict. It is for Arakeen. We guessed wrong, sadly, so no bonus dupe for us. Bit of a shame. And here is our opening row. If you're wondering why I'm looking so furiously for my cards, it's because I'm wondering where my damn Signet Ring is. We only find one card to get us to Research Station, and it's our Fedaykin, which is like, that's kind of annoying, I guess. What are you going to do, though? So, Spice Allies is in the row. It's pretty big tech. Who does it value most for going for? Well, let's go through them, because when you see a tech list, you've got to assess them, and you've got to think, well, who really wants them? There's 3 people that can get them immediately. Lita would take a little while. So, Yuna. Does she want Spy Satellites? Probably not. She's going to get hold of all the faction points. She's got freaking double in the shadow. She can get whatever she wants here. She could conceivably take it A for denial and B for trashing later. I wouldn't hate that. But she's not likely to like go immediately for it. We would definitely like it. We have no progression with the spacing. We have no progression with the Fremen. It kind of rates plans within plans kind of inert, but truth be told, are we scoring any points out of this anyways? I don't think we are a lot of the time. Tezia, does she want it? Well, technically looking at it, she does, but she's Tezia damn Vernius, so surely she's going to hold those snoopers. And then Leto wouldn't mind it probably. But I don't think any of my opposition, like, really heavily are going to go for it. And what I'm trying to basically work out here is, do I need to go and get Spy Satellites immediately, or do I think I can go Research Station first and get away with it? That's what I'm trying to assess here. If I go Research Station, do I lose Spy Satellites? And I figure, hopefully not. So Yuna rings it instead of shipping, because of course she does. Takes the bump with the spacing because, you know, Tezia just let her have it. So, okay. And so we make the move. We're looking at what's drawing. I'm thinking, okay, well, Signet Ring's coming. If I'm using Fedaykin, what am I trashing? And I figure, well, I've got loads of city access in my hand. I know I've got these 2 daggers, and I'm well aware of that situation. But I opt to trash Recon instead. The reason being is that I still need to be able to threaten High Council and Mentat and Tex, and obviously some I've still got to get here. We've got Fedaykin, which has city access. We've got Voice, which has got city access. I've got Signet Ring, which has city access. We've got Steel Seat Manufacturer, which has city access. We do not need Recon. I'd rather have the daggers in hand at this point, just to give me flexibility. So I opt to trash the Recon instead of the 2 daggers. Also, I might want these daggers in hand as well. There might be worlds where I need to beat Tezia for 3rd place here. If she tries to limp in, I just limp in over her, and the daggers will give me some reassurance there, because that money is going to be useful for us. We do pull our Signet Ring, just. Yuna, with her experimentation, smuggles and cashes in, obviously. Pretty standard. So the normal path for Tezia now is to go Bene Gesserit to do Emperor on the last round, basically. So she sets up Emperor for later on, which is reasonable. Takes the spice specifically. So that tells me that I think she wants to go selective breeding, but it also tells me that I think she's got eyes on Highliner and actually bombing this conflict once in a blue moon. So I'm like, okay, we've got an issue here. The other issue is that she's also potentially setting up for Highliner round 7. Now, problem. If we go Spy Satellites, I can't Highline. That's an issue. That is a serious problem that I am unsure how to remedy. So I'm like, great. We need to think about this. Leto goes Haga Basin, which, you know, makes sense. There's some spice there. He's got experimentations to do. But it means it's another person who can now go Spy Satellites. I don't know that he's going Spy Satellites, but I'm not about to sit around and wait to find out. So I'm just hoping Yuna do not go Spy Satellites, and I'm just going to go ahead and take this and call it a day. And that's the plan. Yuna, after a bit of consideration, decides, you know, I don't need Spy Satellites. I've got In the Shadows. This is going to get me all the bumps I need. So she goes Dreadnoughting with detonation devices. So she's clearly going to just absolutely just throw everything at this combat here, clearly. That gets her, she's also at 6 spice as well. So now Yuna is threatening highlighting this combat just to seal the alliance and call it a day, which seems pretty likely, truth be told. And it comes back to us. So I'm like, is there any reason not to go spy satellites? And the answer to that question is a big, resounding, absolutely hell no. So we take the satellites, which means we don't... We might occasionally get one of these points anyways. And the weird thing is as well, is it does mean that I can, in theory, try to go for 3 factions specifically and ignore the 4th, knowing that's covered for spy satellites, and try and get plans within plans once in a blue moon. But it's not heavily likely, but it might happen. So Tezia, Fold Space, Slig Farmer. Where's she going? Highliner? Fancy a piece of it? Does she got other things she wants to do? She want to get Snoopers going? What's she want to do? Highliner maybe? She going High Council for Spiceman's Flows, Full Scale Assault? What's she want to do here? Lots of options. I don't hate a lot of them. A lot of them are pretty decent. Lots you can think about. And makes probably just the wise move of just going selective breeding and calling it a day. You can't hate that move. It seems pretty solid to me. So, money for Beetle, draw a load of cards, try and buy Spice Slow if you can. That'd be great. Leo's Signet Rings to Arakeen. He has to, like, feel like he's got to try and do something here. But it's pretty uncomfortable because you think Yuna a lot of the time is just highlining here. So, Leo's more interested really in the chase. He does draw into his next hand, which makes me think maybe you shouldn't have played his Signet Ring. Should have, like, gone somewhere else. Carfag. Why did you not go Carfag? Why did you go Arakeen? Kind of strange. Must be hunting for something. So, chase point. Highliner for Yuna, as noted. Barrels it all in, of course. Nothing to talk about here. And then it gets back to us. So, we got a couple of options of what we want to do. We have spy satellites. One of the reasons I got hold of Satellite Ban was that I could maybe later on, before I highline, find a trip to Fold Space and use that to kind of like help me get that point. Well, I don't need to worry about that anymore. And I can't say I'm particularly a fan of this and shifting allegiances. So I'm like, okay, I don't want anything to do with that. I also am bearing in mind that I do need to like put pressure into the next couple of rounds. I'm going to need a bit of a garrison. I end up going for my Swordmaster because, of course, I haven't taken that yet. And then Tezia has a Liaison in hand. Remember, she's used Liaison to Arakeen before. More than happy just to throw them out there. And goes High Council, which tells me she's got 9 for Spice Plus Float, almost certainly. So, yeah, whenever you see Liaison to High Council, that means I don't have anything else to do, and I'm stalling. I also probably have Kwisatz Haderach anyways, so, yeah, that's a thing. Leto just secrets with his Diplo, basically, you know, obviously conceding the fight, that's fine. Yuna, with Imperial Spy, which I didn't see her buy, didn't use it. And it's back to us, so I do opt to go for the Hardy Warriors move here. The intention being that I can hit this and be water neutral, continue to threaten Research Station at all times. I garrison up, and I can also limp a troop in, and maybe sometimes pick up a couple of coins, because the offshoot of going Swordmaster, we have no money anymore. So if I can get a couple of coins, it puts pressure on Mentat as well. And I've just got to put people in as many difficult spots as I can. It's about the only thing I can really do in this game that is starting to just get away from me, because everyone's dex is completely absurd. You know, at least Tezia, like, she aimed for Kwisatz and got it. I've got no complaints of Tezia with these. But Liet there, the double in the shadows there, like, it's pretty bad. Does pull Kwisatz. She goes for the very rare move. You don't see this very often, and because typically there's not really any point to. But she decides she's going to live from smuggling, and she goes back to selective breeding. So the double selective from Tezia Vernius. Very unusual to see that. Pretty cool. Yeah, nice to see that. So is actually going to take the fight to Yuna on this faction here. She's the only person that's got any chance of stopping Yuna scoring this alliance, and any chance of, like, winning, basically. Or of just running away with it. She already is kind of running away with it, truthfully. But, you know, Tezia decides to make a bit of a stand, so, you know, good for her. So leader reveals for free. Doesn't do anything, I don't think. Does he buy anything? I think he just buys, like, another liaison, I think. Yeah, he buys another liaison for Liet Kynes. We reveal for our 5, so we go for the specimen, get the Talaxu point, and at this point, I'm already basically prepared. We're going to hit Atomic. So, Let's think about this. What can we find that's good for us atomics? Let's see. We've got Web of Power. We've got Firm Grip, maybe once on a blue moon. We've got Treacheries. Power Plays, but even with the worst. We've got Plans within Plans. We've got Talaxu Surgeons. We've got all sorts of really cool cards that we can find. Hey, red picked pretty decently, and green picked pretty decently. There, atomics. Well, let's see what we go. Here we go. Expecting 5 Talaxu Surgeons, and, well, that's what we pull. Sardaukar Legion, which doesn't really help us a lot because we've got Rapid. I could get it to hit this faction, but do I really want to be hitting this? It's kind of a weird spot for me where I kind of do, because I've got Spy Satellites, but the reveal's, like, useless to me. The thing is, though, is I've got to buy Spice Must Flows, and I'm going to need 2 Persuasion cards for that, so I can't go for Esmar. It's Charney or Fremenkamp. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to kind of see what we've got here. I mean, basically the question is, would I rather get the water for flexibility, or I'd rather have the sword for future combat? Because I don't think I'm ever likely to actually use Fremenkamp as an action. Truth be told, it's very unlikely. I'm reliant on, obviously, Highliner. You could do this, obviously, the Garrison troops for rapid mobilization, but A, I'd normally just be sending me straight into combat, and B, that will look pretty suspicious. So, we're probably just going to go with Charney here. Let's take the water, give ourselves some options here. Research Station still. That obviously helps us as well. If we decide to Research Station, I still threaten Hardy Warriors with Steel Seats Manufacturer, stuff like that. Tezia finds a Spice Must Flow. Porter's her Shifting the Instances, which she wasn't looking for, I guess, but she found it. And nothing to resolve in combat. Green gets 2 points. And we get ready for round 7. So going into round 7, like, I don't feel particularly unhappy at the situation, but it's getting very hard to see how I'm going to win. I've got the 2 backup points with Spy Satellites. The problem is I can't force the game to end early. And that's a real problem because people are kind of getting themselves ready to buy spies and do bits and pieces. The only thing I've got as a relief is the fact that all this faction fighting that's going on has absolutely nothing to do with me. So I'm not really under any pressure of like alliances being sold, which is good. So it means I can try and focus on points elsewhere. So we go into round 7. We're not immediately ready for Highliner, but we can get ourselves ready potentially. And what do we find? It is economic supremacy. Oh. That's not ideal. Looking for those guaranteed 2 points. And that's our hand. No Highliner to speak of. Yep. We completely whiff it. No Conspire. No Selective Breeding. We miss just about everything. I'm like, well, that's pretty bad. Well, we can... That's not too bad, actually. We have an option. We've got Voice. I would like Mentat, so I know what we're going to do. Here's a nice little move here. It makes perfect sense. Let's go Research Station with Voice. The idea being we can block up Mentat and possibly maybe get a Spice of Slow. We've got Convincing, which isn't a great card. I need actions here pretty urgently. But we just got to do it. You know, Mentat will help keep us drawing. Sounds pretty good. So let's do this. So Voice. Finally get to use Voice. First time I've had the opportunity to even use Voice. I've got to push down in here. I've got to push with this bump here as well to make life uncomfortable. I'm probably going to bomb the Emperor Alliance to put some pressure there. I'm never getting plans within plans realistically in this game. It's just not happening. So let's go for that. Get Mentat. Work it from there. We find our Diplo. Hooray! Huge for us. Good result. So, Tezia. We got Fadakin coming next as well. I mean, it's good. Actually, that's really good for us. We can dagger Mentat. We can get hold of Fadakin. It Fremen bonds with Steel Suits and +3 swords. We can Highline. So that's 14 strength. +3 is 17. Maybe get some extra stuff in. Find some intrigues. No, we got a bit going on here, you know. We might be able to target that second victory point. Be pretty good for us, right? So Tezia goes great flat. Obviously prepping up for her Highliners. She probably has Diplo in hand, because we haven't, you know, she's kind of suggesting that she does. Either getting ready for now or later. Might not, might have it, might not. So I'm like, okay then, here we go. So Lido obviously wants to go to Mentat a lot here, so good thing we prevented that. Good move. Leto finds plan coupling and Jessica Arrakis combo number 3. It's nice to see Jessica Arrakis getting some use, but it never gets used afterwards anymore. It's only ever with grafting. Grafting completely changed how Jessica Arrakis works, by the way. So draw 5, and then the dagger in the heart. Calculated higher. There's only one of them in the entire game, and Leto had it. What? Yeah. Pretty brutal. We're in real trouble right now. I don't see how we win this game anymore. How do we win this game? Where are we scoring points? I don't know where we're scoring points at this point. I haven't drawn great enough of Spice Must Flow. I can't redraw. I don't have High Council. What am I meant to do? Yeah. Absolutely disgusting draw, that. So, Yuna, Hardy Warriors, because she does need to obviously start going for factions. Obviously needs to go for this combat as well. Hardy Warriors is usually a good one to try and save your resources. So yeah, no Mentat for us is disgusting. So what on earth do we do now? What is the best remote move we can do? Well, we can still potentially target economic problem. If I go mining in Highline, I don't get Fadakin, and I'm down 3 swords. How am I ever meant to get this point now as well? Yeah, this is a real issue. But I still have to I have to make the move regardless, though. The idea being, we can go Imperial Basin for 6 spies, and again, it puts Blue in a difficult spot. If Blue has Highliner access, Blue has to Highline immediately. They can't wait because it looks like I'm gonna go in. Now, truthfully, I'm not that interested in going in. I'm more waiting for Satellite Ban next round, and I've just got to hope there's a round 8. Is the game ending this round? I don't actually think it's that likely. Yuna's got no Dreadnought. She ain't got many resources. No one's scoring 3 points from this conflict, I don't think. So it's really hard to see how anyone actually ends the game. Unless they've got intrigues that are giving them victory points on the, on the way. But then they're having to spend resources to do that. So, I figure there's probably a round 8 coming. I think it's pretty likely. Also, the faction bump here is good. It gives me the opportunity to put some pressure on Red. We want to take this bump anyways for plans within plans. There's absolutely no reason not to go for this bump, and it makes life a little bit awkward for Leto. He's now got to feel like he's got to start defending this alliance here. He doesn't have anything else to do with his bumps is the problem. Like, he's not going anywhere here. And I don't think he's ever really challenging this, and he's not ever doing anything there, so it's kind of a bit forlorn, but I just gotta bump it and just try and, make him go well for something, just slow him down, do what I can here, make the best of what is a pretty bad situation that I find myself in here. And I don't even think it was the one I'm own making, it's just kind of how this game's gone, really. So Tezia's in a bit of thought, she's like, well, what do I do here? There's a victory point to go for in economic. Like, if you've got Highliner, I probably just have to Highliner right now. It kind of sucks, though, because I know I can't win the fight. And that feels pretty bad. But I also figure it's not particularly likely. If she has Highliner and she has to Highline, it's really hard to see how she actually gets a Spice Must Flow here as well. So I feel like I'm causing Tezia problems one way or the other. If she gives up Highliner, that feels kind of bad for me in a way. I'm basically trying to bait her into just highlining right now, and because it looks like I'm going to do it. And I could conceivably do it. Like, I can have any intrigues here. I've been sitting on these intrigues for a little while. So, they could be a lot of things. I've not really been in a combat situation where I've needed to use any combat intrigues, so these could still be swords. Like, if I had ambush here, could very easily be ambush, could easily be vicious talents, that sort of thing. Very, very conceivable that that's the case. Could be a private army I've been had for a while, but I haven't had the spice for it yet, who knows? So Yuna feels she's got a Highline, and she kind of does, I guess. So she barrels it all in. She also had the Emperor intrigue as well, which is completely insane. So we managed to bait Tezia into fold space highlining a combat where she's only ever likely to get hold of, well, she can get maybe 2 points out of economic, I guess. because she gets the money out of that. But it's a good thing that we got her to do it now. Because if she wins it as well, there's definitely a round 8, and we can highline next round and win that combat. Which is some points for us. So that's going to get us to probably to like 9. And then we'll have to try and work out what our 10th point's going to be. Hopefully, we'll suss it out. So Leto ships. Has to reinforce the alliance, obviously. Nothing else to do. Takes the cash, which is a kind of curious move. I don't 100% know why he takes the cash there. Has he got, like, war chest or something? It's possible he's got a money intrigue, and he's just saving up for that. I don't think he's going to do that for High Council or Mentat, so he must have some sort of money intrigue for a point. So we can add +1 to Leto's score here. Arakeen for Yuna for a couple of coins. So, obviously, she just bows it all in, of course. Pretty standard. And then it's back to us. So, we don't know about Highlander anymore. So, what on earth is our best move here? Now, I will happily admit, I think I made a bit of an inaccuracy here. Obviously, this would have been a great spot to try and get High Council. We just don't have the money for it. So, I think we've realistically got 2 choices. We can... Oh, by the way, that Dreadnought in there, that should be back in home base, is returned here as a reminder. So we have kind of 2 options. I can go to Wealth to garrison troops for rapid mobilization next round. Or, and also put pressure on... And try and kind of pseudo put pressure on Leto's alliance. Now, I'm also trying to figure ahead here. So I'm like, well, what's the next conflict? Obviously, what we want is just 2 victory points. And that's what we want. What on earth do we do if Grand Vision turns up? Well, if Grand Vision turns up, we're dead. But what do we do if Grand Vision turns up? Like, well, if Grand Vision turns up and we win, we still get a point. Because we have plans within plans. Diplomacy is going to be 1 bump, and we can Grand Vision it for a couple of bumps, in theory, and get hold of our plans within plan point. That's good. The other thing that's also, if it is Grand Vision, and we go Emperor, and again, garrisoning those troops is going to be good. The money's good for High Council. We need to give ourselves a chance at that as well. We still put pressure on Leto to seal this alliance somehow. And now he doesn't have any way to cash in shipping, so he's probably got to hit the faction himself a lot of the time. So we can put pseudo pressure on that there. How often we actually get to a nat on it, it's not likely, but it's there. The other alternative we have is to go to Siege. Now, the pros and cons of going Siege. Let's see. So... Pro, I can put in my Dreadnought and try and get these resources. Are these resources going to save the day? Not really. But not giving Leto 2 spice also would be kind of nice, you know. Giving the problem is obviously Leto the 2 spice, but it's not going to help him protect this alliance, really. So I don't really care about the resources here too much. We got Tiebreaker. I want to win the last combat without using it and keeping this 10 spice to basically count as like half a victory point. That's the plan. So I don't really worry about that. The water would be nice. It gives me, again, research station potential. Although, truth be told, if I've got the water, Yuna's just research stationing immediately. So I don't think it really matters that much. If I have the water, she's just hitting it anyways. I don't think it's that important. I get hold of 1 troop instead of 2, which is a con. But it does mean that Leto probably doesn't get involved in the fight, and I get hold of some bonus resources, which I guess is nice. I don't know. I think it's 2 variants of a theme. The other issue we've got is that I could also, I guess, go secrets. And I definitely did consider that. But the problem I've got, what on earth do I do if it's secrets and I can't play the intrigue? Because I go last next round. And... Green and blue have every reason to bomb this alliance. So what happens if I get an intrigue that's a combat intrigue? If I get an intrigue that's endgame? If I get Choem shares? If I get, you know, stuff that I can't use? I can't afford to lose this. I really don't want to be giving that to anyone. And losing this also is bad, because this is my tiebreaker, legitimately. If this is close, if I get to 10 points, let's think this through. But 5 points, right? So win combat 7, 2 spice axis 9, and if I can find a 10 point from somewhere, like maybe we find our way to... We've got a lot of 2 persuasion cards coming. You know, we've got Convincing, we've got Benny's sister, We've got our ring to help and stuff like that. We got High Council, maybe. We can probably get Spiceman's Flow next round and get to 10. The difference between 10 and 0 spice and 10 and 10 spice is pretty significant. And this is going to be probably pretty close at the end of this, which is a miracle, really, given the situation. So I figure the secrets, there's not a ton to gain, and there is a hell of a lot potentially to lose. I don't want to lose any of these intrigues, really. And if we pull, like, an Allied Armada or something, and then that just gets given to, like, blue or green, I mean, that is an absolute... Or red, given with these two spices gonna get, it's a complete catastrophe. So I decided it's not worth it. Let's just garrison up for Highliner. The other issue I've got as well, with next round, if I'm going to win the conflict, I have no battle intrigues behind me. So I've just got to do it with sheer weight in numbers. So we tank for a while, like a good couple of minutes, but we ultimately end up going to wealth. I think it's worth it. The troops, the High Council, and some degree of potential pressure on the Emperor, especially if Grand Vision comes up, knowing that if Grand Vision does come up, we still get the point regardless. So that's the logic there. I don't think it's bad. Maybe you could go Siege Tabor. Maybe Siege is a slightly bit... At the time after, I think Siege was probably a better move, but now looking at it again, I think both are about as good as each other. It just kind of depends how you view it. And giving Leto that +1 water doesn't really make a big difference either. Like, I'm not going to lose to Duke Leto on spice tie breaks in this game. It's not going to happen. So I know that I don't need to worry about that too much. Also, by the way, this is now the second or third time where I've had Steel Suit Manufacturer in hand and no Fremen cards. What do you do, kids? What do you do? So Leto does go to Siege. Tesia went Carthage. Oh, she's putting troops in. She has to. Nothing too interesting to go through here. All pretty standard. Yuna has to go... she reveals, ultimately... oh, yeah, I forgot about this. So Yuna reveals here, and you're like, oh, okay, Spice is slow. Actually, no. Look at Yuna's hand here. Imperial Spy, which was obviously, I think, the plan. Blocked it. No access. No access. Nothing. Doesn't want any of this. No spice. Nothing. I don't know why Yuna didn't just buy a Dreadnought. Because she has our ring coming. That's why. And she feels she's got to fight for this alliance. Okay, that makes reasonable sense. So, yeah. So, Yuna just reveals. She just sacks off an action to get an intrigue and hope that she can save this alliance because it's very close. Tesia does have the benefit of acting first. And shifting allegiances, if it comes next hand, is going to obviously cement that. So, there's a lot going on. So, we reveal for 4... I look at the round like, well, I've got 7 cards. Am I ever likely to see any of these cards again? Probably not, but maybe once in a blue moon I do. So we just go for Fremen Camp. Tesia's also not likely to see Foof here anyway, so I'm just kind of picking it for the sake of picking it a little bit. And combat resolves as it is. Everyone takes it. So Tesia scores 2. Yuna gets the backup point. Oh, Leto's still on action. Oh, yeah, he's got, freaking plan coupling, man. Funny spot this, actually. So he's got plan coupling. Kind of weird spot this, actually, from Leto. So he's got plan coupling, and he should just go secrets. And I don't know why he doesn't go secrets, but he doesn't go secrets. He goes smuggling. I'm like, very suspicious. Must have some kind of money intrigue. I'm like, well, what's he got probably going on here? Well, let's see. What's 5 plus 7? 5... Choam shares 7. Seemed very likely to me. When people make strange moves, they usually do it for a deliberate reason. Spiceman's Flow had the 9 anyways. Leet Kynes didn't particularly help that, but yeah, had the Spiceman's Flow, so I'm like, that's pretty bad. Not looking good here. We're in real trouble. I mean, at this point, victory is looking not likely. It's still potentially on. But I'm going to need some luck, probably. But I have the chance. Spice Alliance keeps me in the game. And there are potential ways that we can win this on endgames. We effectively, with this and this, have 2.5 endgame points. I've just got to get to 8 minimum next round. Because next round is going to be the last round, almost certainly. I've just got to get there and hope I hold on, pretty much. The chances are there. The thing is interesting, because I've got plans within plans, it means there's not a lot of endgame stuff out there. I mean, you look at this situation. What endgame points are people scoring? Call of the Market is obviously going to be a problem. But Grand Conspiracy, like, there's a couple of High Council seats, I guess. Like, Tessie does qualify for one Grand Conspiracy. Okay, fine. That's not a big deal. Like, if Tessia gets one in-game point and one Spice Must Flow, that gets her to 10. I'm going to beat her on Spice. So, I can live with that. You know, what in-game points has she scored? She's got 8. She ain't getting the second Talaxi point here. Did she get the first one at this point? Oh, Tessia's got attacks points that will come. So, you know, I'm like, I think I can probably beat her here. I think this is definitely on. It depends what happens with this alliance here. I don't know if blue taking this alliance or not is good for me. I really don't know at this point. It kind of is like 6 of one, half dozen the other. I don't think it really matters to me. I've just got to get 3 points and Spice Satellites and Tiebreaker and just hope that I'm good with 10 and a load of Spice. Which sometimes I am. So we move on to round 8. And... oh. What's missing here? Yeah. Where's my eyeliner access? Are you kidding me? Wild, right? Absolutely wild. Bear in mind as well, rapid mobilization is troops. Can't move dreadnoughts with that. Just to note. Some people forget them. I just look at this, I'm like, are you kidding me? But then I take a breath. And I think, okay, let's review the situation. I had 7 cards, right? So it's very likely going to be in here. What the heck's my next card? Well, I know what my next card is, because I'm going to tell you, and I look at some point, it's Satellite Band is my next card. So I'm, okay, fine. I have to draw a card to get the Highliner. I've got Signet Ring. I'm Paul Atreides. Thank God for that. Okay, so we can pull that. That's not in danger anymore. Okay. What is our game plan here? How do we get 1 more point? I'm like, okay, well, let's review our hand. We've got a lot of persuasion here. We finally got Fremen Bond with Fadakin, by the way. That's nice. So we have got 1, 2, 4. Ignore the swords there for a moment. 6, 8. I'm like, oh my god. I can actually score here. Signet Ring, High Council. 8 minus 1 is 7. Plus 2 is 9. And we pull Satellite Ban. The game plan is High Council, Highliner. And we literally just reveal and sack off our third action, the Source, Spice Must Flow. Rapid, Fadakin, chuck everything in, and just close our eyes and hope we're good. It gets us to 10 points. It gets us there with 10 Spice. We can actually still win this game. Ignoring the fact that Yuna's got double freaking In the Shadows off on Atomics, Leto's Liet Kynes, and Tessia's Quizzes Haderach, we can still win this game. How? I don't know how. Steel Suits manufacture mainly power me through the mid-game, but that's about it. So I've just got, okay, High Council, what's the problem? We know Leto was planning for High Council, he's got so much money here, surely that's part of the plan here. He's the only person to get there. So I'm just like, please. Please don't go High Council. Please go Mentat first or something. Please go Mentat first. Please go Mentat first, Leto. Don't do this to me. Whoops, sorry. I didn't mean to click that there. So I'm like, okay. Please just let this work. If this doesn't work, we're in real jail. Tessia pulled experimentation off Snoop. Might as well keep hold of it at hand. There's no reason not to. She pulls shifting. Uh-oh. Oh, she's not going great flat. Oh, no. She picks Mentat. No! She has to do this, of course, to get hold of the Bene Gesserit lines. That's pretty standard. Leo's just High Councils now, right? And I'm like, oh, wait, no, hold on a second. Shipping! That smuggling bump he took earlier might actually make him go into Stellar Shipping first. He feels he's got to cash it in to protect his alliance, because it still looks kind of scary. Right? And if he has no faction access to defend it, he has to do that now before anything crazy happens. And he agrees. Except he doesn't agree, he goes Carfax! Like, what? He just Carfax it! I'm like, what is going on here? So he just does this, which is insane. in a way, like how you don't just go shipping. So Yuna gets another interstellar shipping because Lido decides, I don't need it, I'll be fine. So he just obviously just goes Carfag, and just bombs a load of stuff here. He obviously needs to get troops in. He is our big contender for this fight. And this is the one problem of our plan here. We have to win this. I have no idea what these are. They could be, well, we know one is Choam shares, or probably Choam shares, maybe war chest economic, but it's almost probably that. He's got another random entry. It could be anything, truthfully. But yeah. So now that he's done that, though, at least we know High Council Highliner is on. No one can stop us. We just chuck it all in, and we know we sack off the third action. Buy Spice, gets to the 6, win the combat 8, Spice Satellites 10, tiebreaker 10 Spice, and we close our eyes, and hopefully it all works out. There is nothing else for us to do at this point. Nothing else makes any sense. And even despite all of the madness that's gone on with some of the draws they've had, I'm still in with a shot, which, you know, a round or so ago didn't look likely. But we've actually managed to manufacture ourselves and get ourselves ready for this round, which we had to bargain was coming, but it looked likely. We prepared ourselves, and now it's on. Here we go. Can we make this happen? Can the dream happen? It's not looking ideal, but we're going to see how we go here. So Yuna gets the shipping. I guess she could have smuggled for it anyways, but it's like, just have an extra tech, you know. I'm sure you want more techs and such. That's always good for you. So here we go. Famine point found. 9. Pulls Windfall, which is more money. So that pays for her signet ring, so you can just take the spice, which isn't really relevant, truthfully. It doesn't really matter which way around it was. But it's interesting that she played that. What are these? She's got Snoopers. She didn't trash them. She played Windfall to get the extra spice. I think I would have considered actually trashing Windfall for something else. Memo Quarters pops up on the row. Are you absolutely kidding me? Look at this. Holy heck. Massive, massive moment approaches in the game here. Massive moment. Yuna, of course, cashes in final delivery. Takes the Emperor bump, which makes sense. Pause. Now. It's a big moment in the match here. We already know what we're doing. So, ignore us. Memo Quarters comes up. Now, let's review again and see who does Memo Quarters benefit. Okay. Let's look at Yuna. Or Tezia. Tezia would love Memo Quarters. Problem, she's got no spice. But that would just be a straight point. So Tezia can't get it. Unless she's got an entry that gives her spice, which she might have dispensation from High Council. That'd be pretty sick if she did. Lido. It's not ideal for him in a way, unless he's got his ring and faction access, in which case he can take 3 bumps here and he can make that work and get a point. Yuna. It's just a point. And if Yuna gets Member Quarters, she just wins the game. So, at this exact moment, my thought process is, Member Quarters being there is a good thing for me. Because it's a carrot to dangle Lido. And that maybe he has, like, bribery or something, or he has finesse, or who knows what he has. And maybe there's a chance that he can actually make this work. I bet he wishes he'd gone shipping now, and he had his signet ring ready. He'd actually be able to cash Memo Quarters, but it is what it is. So I'm just thinking, if he goes Memo Quarters to stop Green getting it and maybe score it himself, it's a turn that he spends not getting involved in the conflict. And basically, I've just got to try and give him as much reason as possible to go Memo Quarters, because he knows I've got Highliner access, probably. High Council was automatic. Obviously, he wanted to go there, but that is now blocked. There's our satellite ban. So I'm just like, if Tezia scores it, that sucks. But she can't get it. I'm basically hoping, Lido, please take Memo Quarters. Please take Memo Quarters. If not to score it yourself, just to stop Green scoring it. You can't just let Green just have Memo Quarters and just have a free point, right? Right? Tezia deliberates. It's kind of a bit of a weird spot here for Tezia. There's not really a ton for her to do. She's going to get Spice Must Flow for 9. without question. And she's not going to sacrifice this. So if she's experimenting, she's got both experimentation in hand. So she's going to select a point. So she's at 10. Can Tessia Vernius score another point anywhere? Or is she just going to start grabbing as much spice as possible just to, basically just to get best tie breaks as possible? Because if she's going to do that, she might as well just start hitting mining anyways. She's not really got too much else to do, really, at this point. She's not going to get anything out of the conflict, and she knows that. So, Haga Basin, Imperial Basin. She Imperial Basins first, which I don't hate. The idea being that obviously research station's still there. The one downside of me going siege is that I couldn't threaten research station anymore, which is a little unfortunate. But that is what it is. So Imperial Basin gets played for Tessia Vernius. My assumption's okay, she's obviously looking to go high to research station. Probably. Makes sense. I mean, if she doesn't have her experimentation, well, she's got to do that in order to get hold of this. So I don't hate it. And she can't get Haga Basin there. Fine. Oh, no. Oh, no. The worst thing that he could have done for us. Not only is he just flooding the field with troops, it also just gives Green the point. What? I'm not trying to criticize anyone in particular here, but I would like to point out Yuna got Swordmaster round 2, 2 Interstellar Shippings that Red declined, and double in the shadows off on atomics. What do you do about that when you act after Yuna? Yeah. So Yuna trashes Quid Pro Quo with Sonic Snoopers, does it incorrectly. You're not meant to reveal it, and it's meant to just go at the bottom of the deck, so I was like, you know, so that made me feel kind of slightly bad in a way as well. Interesting enough, it's the only one she trashes. What the hell else has she got in hand here? She must have has she got another endgame point here? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. She's got another point in hand. She's getting to 11. I can't beat Yuna anymore now. Feels pretty bad. The only reason she's not trashing these two, because they're not combat cards. So what's she got? She got Grand Conspiracy, and she's got enough of Spiceman's Flow. Like, what the hell's going on here? Looks pretty bad. So at this point, I'm like, yeah, Yuna's won this game. Once she gets Memo Quarters, just like this, the game is over. Yuna wins. There's no way she's getting caught, I don't think, at this point. Very, very unlikely. Because she's going to win all Spice tiebreaks on blue anyway. So at this point, game's over. So I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do here. I've just got to make this. We know the plan. Get it in. Score 10 points and beat Tessia. That's all we can do. Research station it is. As expected, she does research. And she picks up the point there. So didn't have the experimentation. So had to do it that way to get that. Okay, I'm like, okay, fine. 9 points. Spiceman's Flow gets you to 10. If you got Corner, I guess the only way you win is if you've got Corner, which you could have potentially. But if you don't have Corner, I don't see what other in-game points you've got. And, I mean, you could also have Grand Conspiracy, but I feel like Green's got Grand Conspiracy at this point. So if you score Spiceman's Flow and have nothing else, we win. Cool! Leto goes to Selective Breeding, which is good for me. So he's given up on the fight now. So we know we're going to win the conflict, almost certainly. So that's good. Just draws a load of cards. Obviously looking for Liatkines to try and get the Spiceman's Flow. It's the only thing he's got left to do, so it makes total sense to me. You know, you could argue, obviously, maybe if I'd gone Siege, he wouldn't be able to do that. And I guess that's true, but how none of the other two went Selective Breeding before this, I don't have any earthly idea. But it's like, whatever. You know, at this point, I'm pretty sure I beat Red, so I'm not coming last unless he's got Corner, but he's not going to get full value for it. That's the thing as well. Corner Market is kind of a weird here, where like you know, it's only worth a point for people because they're probably both gonna. Red's trying to score. Blue is going to score, so we'll see what happens here. Anyways, Unished Arakeens, nothing else to do. Punt it in. Rock and roll. Freaking in the shadows, man. Crazy. So we make the early reveal. Rapid. Chuck it in. Buy the Spice Must Flow. We get to 10. I think the fact we got to 10 in this game is a pretty damn good result, and I can't feel too bad about that. And then we get to Tessia Vernius. One action. What the heck has she got left to do here? There's not a lot to do. Like, I mean, there's no text. There's not much access. Secret diving. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe wealth for, like, I don't know what. She can't go Hardy Warriors. There's not really anything left for Tessia to do here at this point. Kwisatz to Siege. And I already know what's coming. I already know what's coming. And I'm like, what on earth do you do about this? Heartbreaking moment, this. Pretty disgusting moment. But what do you do? I now know that my game is truly over and that I'm coming third place. Feels terrible. I'm not going to tell you how I'm coming third place. I'm going to let you all guess what's about to happen. So Red has Ixion Engineer. Is it Ixion Probe? Diving to try and find Lietkynes or stuff to help Lietkynes. And no, he didn't have Lietkynes. And yes, he just pulled it for an intrigue. For a Spice Must Flow. You know, pretty good. But I'm not worried about Leto. At this point, I'm like, Leto doesn't have 2 endgame points here. I think he's got money anyway, so I'm not worried about Leto. We're going to beat Leto here. And yeah, so Leto, Chome shares as we predicted. So we're going to get the win there. He can't stop us. Good. So we're at third place. But man, it feels like we played well enough to get better than that. So Yuna wins. Unless something crazy happens with Tessia. That's the 2 intrigues she didn't have. Plus, just your casual +3 persuasion with High Council. And tech negotiation. So 3 persuasion in hand. Spice Must Flow. You know, pretty standard. So she's at 11. Can't beat her. And it's like, I didn't even want to watch this. I didn't even want to watch this. I called it out immediately. I said, like, you've got Seed Must Awaken, right? And I knew it was coming. It's just so brutal. Like, what do you do about this, really? Absolutely absurd. So Spice Must Flow, Seed Must Awaken coming. I don't even have to look at it. It's just like, what do you do? There it is. And just shrug. I mean, I look back at this, and it's a bit like the first game. Like, the 2 games I've played, I feel like I've actually played pretty damn well. But what do you do about this? I mean, this isn't like me trying to, like, complain particularly. Although it kind of is. It's just, it feels kind of frustrating to feel like I played pretty damn well this game. And I feel like, Britta, if you guys have noticed something that I completely missed and got wrong, then fine. The deciding point was when I could have decided round 1 to go heavier for the combat to get hold of the... to try and get hold of Swordmaster right away. And this is true. But I got Mentat twice, and we won a Mentat conflict, and we made good use of the resources we had. We had a couple... the problem was we had a couple of... like, we twice drew Diplo still suits and voice and such together in the same hand. You go, well, sure, if you had 3 actions, then that wouldn't be a problem. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true. But I felt pretty hard done by here. And even at the end of the game, like, they all admitted, like, yeah, we got pretty freaking lucky this game. Especially, like, Green. Freaking double in the shadows of an atomic. That's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Then to get Memo Quarters late as well. I mean, it's just, what do you do, kids? Pretty brutal stuff. So, unfortunately, third place for us. having, I think, played a pretty solid game. That's Dune for you sometimes. Here's a look at the table. So Mark Swing gets himself to 9 points from his 3 games with the 1 win, which isn't too bad. Still a bit of work to do. Mystic Game Ayasaki finishes with 10 points from his 4 with a win, which is okay. But it's definitely beatable for sure. Medioga, only 3 points from us, but we have to live with 5 points from 2. Winning chances in both games. I think we're probably unlucky to have only scored 5 points. There are worlds where I win both matches, and we live in the world where I don't win either of them at all. Which feels kind of bad. But, we're still in with a decent shout. We're sitting in 7th. Iverman's got 5. He's only played 1 game. Stoop is 1 point ahead with the win. That is our problem, is the win tiebreakers. And that is a concern. So we know we're going to probably have to win a game somewhere. But at this moment, Arcanaut and Mark Kerpen and Media all haven't either. So I still feel like I've got pretty decent chances of making it through to the next round. If I can win one of the 2 next matches, I feel like I'm pretty much through in some form. And at this point, basically looking for like a top 4 finish. Unless we can win both our remaining games, which is definitely very possible. And I feel like I'm playing decently well enough to do so. I've been playing a lot of Uprising, trying to get in the games as best I can here, basically. And, again, I feel like, although obviously there's no worms or anything like this, like, I'm getting the game time in, which is helping me think about the game better and, like, focusing bits. Like, I don't feel like I made any particular mistakes in either of these games. You could argue, again, going back, like, you could make the argument of, well, should I have just made the point of winning this conflict, putting that 1 extra troop back here, wherever it was, and getting hold of that smuggling buff? I mean, debatably, but, I don't know. Do I? The problem is that I don't know what I'm drawing next round. Like, I might not find Diplo. I guess we know Yuna's going to smuggling. But if I don't pull Diplomacy next round to get to wealth immediately, which I'm not likely to, we're drawing, 3 cards? And then we're pulling 2 more out of 7. So I've got about, 40% of finding Diplo, something along those lines. If I don't find Diplo to get the wealth straight away, I'm stranded, because I can't go to smuggling, and I can't score my Swordmaster, because I have no money. So it'd be +1, +1, +5. That's 7. Well, no, yeah, the +1 coming from Yuna's ring, not even smuggling twice. So I'm totally happy with the way I took it. I think going this way was fine, and dominating Mentat. It definitely cut out Red a lot, which is probably why Red came last on this. I made a point of, having to, fight with Lido, and that definitely got me to at least 3rd position, and I had chances of beating both of them, and you could boil it down and say, well, if Red stops Yuna getting hold of Memo Quarters, and Tesia doesn't draw, if Tesia doesn't draw Kwisatz again, or doesn't draw Sigmar's Awaken, we win this match. And in a technical sense, that's true, and I can't dispute that fact. But they both did. So we didn't. Such is life. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will be looking to do reviews on the other 2 games that I do, most certainly. By the way, I also note as well, people in this table actually asked if I was streaming. They were wondering what I was doing. If they're wondering why this video exists, they asked me if I was streaming the game, which I wasn't. I'm not streaming these games live. Are you insane? But I was recording them, and I will be recording the other 2. So, anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, if we can just get ourselves a little bit of rub in the next 2 games, I feel a lot better about things. Take care, everyone. Curious to know what you think about this, and I'll see you later.